The next section of our agenda here is our public comment, and we have quite a few signed up. And I'll apologize early if I get your names wrong, but Ms. Lorraine says we've got 2 minutes. She's got some signs here to remind you of that time, and so we want to invite them now. We'll start with Ashley Russin, and then Jackie Ball, you're on deck. So I'll continue to let somebody know who's next.
Hi, I'm Ashley Rustin. I represent USTA, but I just found out our president was not able to get on the public comment, so I'm going to actually give my time to John Taylor.
That's what happens when you teach a student a long time ago and they're willing to give up their time. First and foremost, I'd like to welcome the new board members and thank you for your service. I know this is a thankless job, and I'm grateful that you're willing to give up your time and your talents to guide the state. My name's John Taylor. I'm a 16-year biology professor at Southern Utah University. In those I'm actually also a former high school teacher. In my 16 years at SUU, I have provided in-service or pre-service teachers guidance in the life sciences, and also throughout the state of Utah, thousands of teachers have suffered through my professional development as I help them get the endorsements that they need. I am heavily involved in education, but I come to you as both the current president of the Utah Science Teachers Association and also as somebody who served on the writing committee. I was a team leader for the K through 2 seed drafts that are before you. And I would like to encourage you to release those to the public because we've done as much work on them as we possibly can. It was incredibly rewarding to watch kindergarten, first and second grade teachers wrestle with really one question: what's best for the students? Often they would go, well, that's kind of hard for teachers. We're like, it has nothing to do with teachers. We're in this for the kids. So let's make decisions that are going to be the best for the kids. They argued over things and looked through the data and other researchers, other research papers, what other states have done to develop these things, and what they came up with is their very best effort. And the next best step would be to turn it loose to the state. As somebody who also served in the 6 through 8 seed standards process, I can tell you that the very best comments that we got and changes that came to those standards came at the hands of teachers once they had them in front of them. So I would encourage you to please release those to the public and let us get messy with the revamping of them. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll invite Jackie Ball with Julie Ramirez on deck.
So Julie Ramirez was not able to attend today. She has another meeting. She is my time started yet? Should I start my timer? So she advocates for parents in other capacities. So she's with that, doing activities with that today. So thank you so much for having me again. I don't think you knew I was coming back today, but I just wanted to reiterate some of the points that we had last night. The nature of public comment is I can't really sit here and talk much to you. I have to kind of get my points out, but I do want to let you know we've met with some of you and kind of explained our positions and the need for certain types of communication for these hard of hearing children. They have to work twice as hard or 10 times as hard as other kids to be able to understand, speak, hear. So we're going to hand out a book to you guys after I speak that talks about how children need a broad vocabulary base to be able to communicate and speak, and that applies for hard of hearing children or spoken language. Or children who do not have any hearing impairments. So we'll pass that out. Also, I wanted to clarify a couple of things that maybe were confusing last night. When Joel Coleman had said that they do not do spoken language with sign at the schools, and the parents were kind of shocked at that because all their kids, quite a few of their kids have been doing that. I think what he was speaking about was doing simultaneous sign language and spoken language, and that is something that I've been assured they moved away from a long time ago. What we're talking about is using both modalities, sign language and spoken language, in the classroom. And to support that, one of the parents has agreed to share her son's IEP where it lists that he does sign language and spoken language. In the end, I just want to say we worked really hard to get statements from audiologists, not teachers, anonymous, employees at USCB who felt like they could report. Parents, we're not misinformed. These are our genuine experiences, and the audiologists have tried to base their comments in fact and science. So please have an open investigation of schools for the deaf. It's very necessary. And give us some time to present. If that's all you can give us, like the science students had, I think our case has merit. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next, we'll invite Tanel Thompson with Sabrina Parrish on deck. Is Tanel?
Are we okay to pass these out?
Yes, you may. Can we just set them there so they're not, well, we can pass them out if it's not a distraction. Okay, you're Tanel?
Yes, I'm Tanel. My son attends USDB. So I wanted to, again, thank you for listening to us and being willing to read through the binders that were given to you with our concerns from parents. The research that was provided by audiologists and medical professionals regarding Superintendent Coleman's statement last night at our meeting last night that he would be open to an investigation into USDB. I would like to call for that, for an investigation. There's too many conflicting statements being passed around back and forth between parents and administration. And clearly no one is understanding the other. And we need to hear from teachers, teachers and aides, audiologists, PIP advisors, past and present, their concerns and if they feel they're being coached on what to say or what to leave out on parent choice. And they need to be able to speak without fear of retribution. Our concerns are fair and within reason. Our goal is not to oppress the ASL community at all. We are fighting for informed parent choice for our children who are deaf and hard of hearing, and that they are able to make, as parents, the decision what is best for their family and individual child. So, thank you.
Next, we'll have Sabrina Parrish with Heidi Matthews on deck.
Hi, my name is Sabrina Parrish, and this is Loseli Ruth. She's 2.5, and we have been attending the toddler programs at USDB. We have chosen to use spoken language in our home. Can you say hi? She's a little sick today. But we attended last year to the toddler group. It was amazing. We had a wonderful experience. We learned many things with other parents and other children who also have chosen spoken language. Yeah, that's a microphone. We loved all of the support that we were getting in that classroom, and this was last school year. At the start, we were provided the PIP program, which is the parent-infant program. We were almost misled that there was a choice of just doing spoken language. It was brought to our attention after the fact of my audiologist, my daughter's audiologist, saying that if we want her to speak, to just focus on spoken language and not combined. So when I brought that up to my PIP advisor, she said that was an option, but it wasn't brought to my attention until I had to do some research myself. Going into the toddler group, it was so helpful last year, and now this year it was taken away from us, the LSL only, and it was a combined. We met with a few of the administration, and we were told that it was just a fluff class and that there were no lessons. But when I spoke to the teachers, that there were actually lessons planned, but it was confusing and hard for my daughter to focus on us speaking because our eyes take over our ears. And now we were just informed last night that that has been taken away, and we were not told by the administration. So I would just like also an investigation in USDB because us as parents are not being informed and our rights have been taken away. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next we'll have,
I'm Heidi today.
you're not Heidi.
I know I'm
What
not
happened to
Heidi.
Heidi?
I'm
What'd you
sorry
do to her?
I'm sorry to disappoint you. Unfortunately, Heidi is ill today. Wasn't
Yes.
able to make it. And she encourages. Hopefully, if any of you still need to get a flu shot, she encourages you to do that. That was her oversight this year. And anyway,
So introduce yourself and
my name is Jay Blaine, Director of Policy and Research with the Utah Education Association. We'd like to welcome the new board members and thank you all for your service, and congratulate Chair Huntsman and Vice Chair Cummins on your election to leadership as well. We look forward to working with all of you in the upcoming legislative session. We are pleased with the accountability reports that just came out. The dashboard system looks very good, and with the new indicators, it is very easy to see where the resources need to go to help students achieve better in their schools. The comprehensive quality of those with the elimination of a single letter grade does indicate the need for resources in certain areas, and we believe that working together, we can maybe move towards the elimination of the single letter grade for good. That would be our goal, and we look forward to working together with you with that. In Heidi's words, to support the neediest students, not to just blame and punish or to send into failed turnaround status. We also look forward to working together to support the pipeline for new educators and hope for the support of appropriations for the Educators Rising program. That is one of our priorities as well. I would also mention, this is coming from me a little bit now, that I was glad to see the CAPS program here. As a lifelong educator, seeing the application of things like math, my passion in projects like this. I talked to the students beforehand. They did use math in all of their projects. That's a wonderful thing to see the application there, and kudos to them for doing that. Thank you.
thank you. Vince Newmeyer and then Vincent Bates.
Robbie, a young man full of hopes and dreams, suddenly found that his life would be very different than that of his young friends. A life-altering disease led to the untimely death of my nephew at the young age of 15. He was the victim of a rare recessive genetic disorder called Fanconi anemia. Recent research regarding this disease has revealed that non-coding portions of DNA hold some answers for people afflicted with this disease and the subsequent susceptibility to certain forms of cancer. In the past, little attention was paid to the junk DNA, the claimed inert leftovers of an alleged evolutionary past. Failure to consider the functional significance of these non-coding regions of DNA because of an evolutionary mindset has delayed research in certain vital areas of medicine. This baggage of evolutionary thinking has been dramatically demonstrated over and over again. At one time, evolutionists listed 180 vestigial structures in the human body. Previously, these were routinely removed and discarded. Today, it is recognized that every one of these structures serves a vital purpose. Having reviewed the draft of the proposed science standards, I can tell you that this draft, which is heavily based on the next generation science standards, is missing core pieces, the heart and soul of science, particularly when it comes to politically driven agendas such as Darwinian evolution and global warming. These topics are taught as unquestionable facts in the proposed standards, not as scientific theories, which have been challenged by and are challenged by current scientific data. How much needless suffering has been had and even death because of the mindset educational mindset, and insistence of an evolutionary paradigm. You can read more about these things on the website sciencefreedom.org. Now we know better, research in these genetic areas, which is previously believed to be useless leftovers of an imagined evolutionary past, may spell some relief for some challenging complications of this disease. And let me tell you that it can't come soon enough. Unfortunately, Robbie's family's fate was worse than the cold statistics from the recessive genetics would have you believe. Of 5 children, 3 of them have Fanconi anemia. So along with Robbie, little Katie and Marilyn are also staring this heinous disease in the face, the disease that took the life of their older brother, Robbie. Thank you.
Okay. Vincent Bates, and then Darcy Dixon.
Chair Huntsman, Superintendent Dixon, and members of the board, good morning and thank you for this opportunity to speak. My name is Vincent Bates. I'm a teacher educator at Weber State University, where I teach courses in elementary arts integration and direct the Weber Snow Collaborative Music Licensure Program. I've spent most of my life in Utah schools, graduated from West Desert High School, salutatorian in a graduating class of 2. I taught music and art in Eureka for 12 years. My own children attend school in Davis School District. All this to say that I have a personal as well as a professional stake in the quality of Utah teachers. My concern today is with the proposed Utah Pedagogical Performance Assessment Standards. These standards will require all teacher candidates to pass a high-stakes commercial standardized performance assessment. The 2 most likely suppliers for this assessment are multinational corporations, Pearson and ETS. Their assessments are based on 3 written samples and a 15-minute video of classroom teaching, all scored by anonymous reviewers at the cost of $300 per teacher candidate. The way we assess prospective teachers now is similar to the field of medicine, with direct observations of clinical practice. At Weber State, for example, highly qualified teacher educators observe elementary teacher candidates 10 times over 3 semesters and secondary teacher candidates 7 times over 2 semesters. We physically go to the local classrooms and see the full scope of what's going on during multiple lessons. We also visit with teacher candidates at length and review their written work. Everything is assessed relative to the Utah Effective Teaching Standards. And if our students can't eventually manage the challenging job of classroom teaching, they don't pass. Our approach is far more rigorous and valid than anything that is being proposed. But our representatives were led to believe from the beginning that this process, that our research-based homegrown assessments were not an option. And in fact, the level of statistical validity and reliability called for in these standards is only attainable from commercial vendors or other entities that have access to huge quantities of data. Statistical validity and reliability should not be confused with practical validity and reliability. Seriously, would you feel comfortable in the care of a doctor or nurse knowing that their license was based on a 15-minute video? Would you purchase a house that had been inspected and appraised by watching a 15-minute video? Our students here in Utah deserve the highest quality teachers. Please vote no on all drafts of the proposed Utah Pedagogical Performance Assessment Standards. Thank you. And I made 4 extra copies before my printer gave out this morning. Do I just pass those around?
Yes, same right. Thank you. Darcy Dixon, again.
Thank you. Good morning, Chairman Huntsman, Superintendent Dixon, and board members. Thank you for your time today, and thank you for your work on behalf of students and families in Utah. My name is Darcy Dixon Pignanelli, and it's my honor and privilege to be the president and CEO of Special Olympics Utah. Special Olympics serves individuals with intellectual disabilities, ages 2 to 90, including autism spectrum, Down syndrome, Prader-Willi, cerebral palsy, on forth. And I'm here today to talk about the fact that rarely does a student with an intellectual disability have an opportunity to compete on a sports team at a high school and represent their high school. Special Olympics has developed a model called Unified Sports that combines those with and without intellectual disabilities to train and compete on a sports team and represent their high school. Special Olympics Utah has a partnership with the Utah High School Athletics Association to bring unified sports to high schools in Utah. And high schools can choose to offer their varsity letter to the students that participate on that unified sports team. We offer unified sports in soccer and track and field, and I'm just here to educate you as our leaders in the schools about unified sports. We have a newsletter called The Unified Effect, which has stories told through the eyes of parents with students with intellectual disabilities who have participated in unified sports and the difference it's made in their students' lives. We would love to work with you and collaborate with you on how we can help bring unified sports to the high schools in your district. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll have Dawn Monson.
Good morning. Thank you for your time and your service. Can I ask a question first? How many of you have a pen that has clickers like this? Have it handy. I taught middle school for 34 years and survived in science. Right now I'm the executive director for the Utah Science Teachers Association. Having taught this long, I've seen standards and cores come, change, go, and the most exciting thing is the SEED standards. In watching them roll out for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, it's been amazing to see the difference in the change. Teachers are able to lead and guide their students as they follow the cross-cutting concepts like patterns, cause and effect, cycles, structure and function, and then the science and engineering practices like defining a problem, interpreting data, and engaging in argument from evidence to have it to back up. They address real-world problems. The students are developing a mindset of asking questions and learning how to find answers. They're learning how to learn. They're not learning a list. It enables all learners at all levels. So back to the clicking pens. If you have one, pull it out. We know they click and the little pointy comes out and it writes and then it goes away, right? How does that work? I could give a detailed description about the potential and kinetic energy, the compression, traps the energy in the spring, the levers, the simple machines in there. Or I could ask you, draw what you think that looks like inside, and then you take it apart and find out. That's what the new SEED standards are. I encourage you to release the drafts for K through 5 and 9th through 12th. They will teach the students how to learn. It's not about content. One of the most impactful things in quotes I heard a 6th grade teacher say was this. She said, "I used to hate teaching science, but now it's the student's favorite and I can't wait to teach it." The Utah Science Teachers Association calls on you to release the draft for public review. Thank you.
Thank you. This concludes our public comment period. Board members, we're going to take a quick break. Want to be back starting at 25 till. Board members, if I can get you to take your seats, we're going to get started.
They're starting to. Maybe. You need to pound hard with your gavel.
Board members, we got to get started. Okay, board members, we're on our agenda item, which is an action item on general consent calendar. It's in your board docs. At this time, if there's any item on the consent calendar that you wish to pull, and then we'll discuss it after the approval of the consent calendar. So right now is the time I'm seeking input from board members to pull items off the consent. So when you pull one off, please reference the number on it. Board member Linda Hansen.
I would like to pull off 4.4, request for temporary authorizations.
Okay. 4.4 will be pulled from the consent calendar. I'm not seeing any other items to be pulled off the consent calendar. I'm seeking a motion to approve the general consent calendar. Board Member Belknap,
A motion to approve the general consent calendar?
do we have a second? Discussion to the motion. Seeing none, let's vote. All in favor, say aye. Those opposed? Voting is unanimous. Board Member Linda Hansen, can you speak to 4.4, which is the
Yes.
request for temporary authorization?
Yes, I have been talking to Travis and Diana a little bit. If you'll remember right, a couple of months ago, I asked that more information be sent on these temporary authorizations because there wasn't very much information on there. And so I really appreciate the fact that we have a lot more information on there now. It really is helpful. But it is really concerning to me that now that we have the information, that I'm seeing that we have teachers that we are hiring that have no experience in teaching, no degree at all, they're in no programs, and they're hired to teach elementary education or special education, and it is scary to me that we have some of these. I noted 5 that I had concerns with, and you could say that's not very many, but you multiply that by the kids in their class, that's a lot of teachers that don't have any experience or aren't in any programs. And so I just wanted to express my dismay a little bit, and it's heartbreaking to me that we are so desperate for teachers that we are hiring people without any experience, any degrees. And so that was my comment. I don't know, Travis can maybe answer a question for me. I don't know if,
I'd like to invite Travis because this is kind of a big issue. The big question is what are we going to do?
that's
with
my
the
question.
requested-
I don't know if we say we don't want to approve them, I don't think anything happens, right? Because they still can teach.
Okay. Travis?
Thank you. My name is Travis Rawlings. I'm the Educator Licensing Coordinator for the State Board. If the letters of authorizations are not approved, then the individuals for whom they have been requested would not be considered to have an educator license. The next consequence for such a thing is at the end of the school year. There are 2 primary consequences times when there is a consequence for not having a license. It is November 15th and June 30th. So if these are not passed, we would go back to the LEAs and indicate to them that they were not passed. They may wish to resubmit or something to that effect, but ultimately there would not be any immediate consequence of that action.
Another comment or question, Chair?
Yeah, well, so because this is on to approve, if we don't approve it, if there's no action, then it's not approved.
It's not approved, but there's no consequence for us not approving it.
Okay. Yeah. Board Member Ellis?
I just want to make sure before we make a motion to not approve these contracts that we have a good, thorough discussion with the LEAs that are looking to employ these, because I know some of my districts are so small that their hands are somewhat tied into what they can and can't do because we're required to teach certain courses, and they just don't have people in their teeny little district that are, qualified by this industry standards. And I don't really know what to do about that, but I also don't want to bind their hand where either way they're not fulfilling a requirement because they either can't hire someone so then they can't teach the course, or
Right.
they do hire someone, but so either way they're missing some sort of
Yeah, they've got a
requirement.
problem.
And
These are,
Okay,
These are almost all
I have on here a seat 36 that doesn't have a login. So is somebody wanting, Board Member Lear.
but I did log in just now.
Okay.
I have a question, maybe to Linda, maybe to the chair. Maybe to the chair, maybe to Linda, that if you're wanting to not approve these letters of authorization, are you meaning to not approve any of them, or are the 5 that you have concerns about? Or that's my, and I understand from Travis, there's no immediate authority of the board, which is somewhat concerning, because if you had an active teacher who there was a concern with, there'd be an immediate employment consequence and/or could be an immediate licensing consequence. But so what are you meaning to do with this?
Okay. Okay. We have some choices. We can do nothing. It doesn't take a motion not to approve. There's not a motion to approve. If we don't approve this consent item, Travis has explained that, again, will you explain the consequences with this not being approved?
So if these are not approved, then all the individuals on the list would not have an educator license, and their LEAs would need to they would have to determine their next steps based on that fact.
Yeah, it puts it back on the LEA.
So, well, technically, they could take action. There would not be any financial impact to them until June 30th.
Okay. Board Member Ellis?
I don't know what to do either.
Is there any evidence that they weren't following current rules or law in hiring or looking for these? I guess if they're not licensed, they're not.
I have no evidence beyond what you have in the consent calendar. I have nothing else.
But so I just would like to see if they followed all the protocols that we have in place and still came up with these names, then we could make changes, but I don't feel like we should hold something if they were following our rules in place.
Mark, can I make another comment?
Okay.
So as far as I understand that they are, and I don't know if the new licensing structure will help a little with this. Travis, do you feel like it will help with this? It's just, it concerns me. We've had parents here before come before us who say, we've got somebody without any experience teaching our special ed kids. And it's concerning, and they say, if you read in the temporary authorizations, they'll say, well, we couldn't find somebody with a license, or this is the best candidate we could find, so this is the person we're hiring. I don't know what the answer is, but it's concerning, because I believe that parents believe that all the teachers are qualified and that are teaching their kids. I don't think they would ever think that they weren't. And the fact that we're approving teachers that aren't is a little scary to me.
Okay. Vice Chair Brittany Cummins.
I'm going to speak in favor of approving this list that we have before us today, because the concerns that have been brought before us aren't individual to these individual people, and why we shouldn't authorize, because the LEAs have followed our current structure and what is allowed to them and what they feel is in the best interest of their LEA. I think maybe what we could do is bring this back as an agenda item to discuss the process, because then we're not holding individual people accountable for a policy issue that we need to discuss separately from these individual potential educators.
Board Member Bolter.
I too am going to speak for approving this. I'm hesitant to say no on the full list, because there are people on here that are out-of-state applicants, also alternate routes to licensure, an expired license, and so what would it do with that? And so and then I agree with Board Member Brittany Cummins that maybe have a further discussion on this.
Okay. Board Member Cindy Davis.
I would probably speak to the motion and moving forward today, but I agree with what you're saying 100%. And I think the economy has a lot to do with this too, because in a poor economy, you don't really have this problem because there are a lot of licensed teachers to hire. And in a good economy, you're begging people. I used to coordinate for special education in a large district, an Alpine district, and thank goodness right before the recession, Novell and American Express laid off, because I would have not had a single warm body in 5 special ed classrooms in our district. It was just impossible. We couldn't get anybody. So there is kind of a timing issue also, and we're in a good economy, which is great for the economy and sometimes hard for schools. But those people that we did hire immediately enrolled in SUU's teacher preparation program, and we got coaches in there, and we really worked hard to help that to move forward. So I guess I'm new here, and I would just like to know in future what we require of these folks, and maybe that's where the licensing will change, and how quickly and what the timeline looks like for those things.
Board Member Jenny Earl.
Thank you. I would propose to move forward as well. And my thinking is this: if we need to work with someone, it's probably the district we need to work with to make sure that they're, as you've said, that they are coordinating with these individuals and making sure they're getting the needs that they have. For us to go through and individually say, we're not going to do this, I think it will impact those districts that have made choices, and some of them making really hard choices. We know that what our school of the deaf and blind still have 2 positions out there that they're waiting to fill because they can't get someone for that. And so I just know locally in my area, they are continually looking for individuals, and often they will take in someone that has been helping, either a professional or someone that's been working with them, and then they will further that to help them get what they need in order to qualify. So I think this is maybe us working with districts more so than us, I don't know. That's kind of the direction I would take it, is to work with districts to head in that direction that's necessary.
Board Member Janet Cannon.
Yes, I'd like to pose this question to Travis. I think Linda mentioned it, but I didn't hear a specific answer. So tell us when the new licensing rule will start affecting this type of thing, and will these under endorsed or these types of candidates, will they be then qualifying under LEA specific? Can you just kind of tell us what you see as the future regarding this issue?
As quickly as possible, I'll try to summarize. So the new licensing rules go into effect for the 2020-2021 school year. And so during that school year, there would no longer be letters of authorization, which is what these are. And the individuals in these types of situations, the LEA would request an LEA-specific license. Under the new rule, the board would not see those licenses for formal approval at a meeting such as this until it was time for their first renewal. So the LEAs have the authority under the new rule to issue a LEA, or to request that an LEA-specific license be issued for up to 3 years, and the first renewal of that license would have to come before the board. And then, so at that point, rather than having 3,600 names, which we had in November, right, then you would have the number of, these are not individuals that were out of state or transferring, those have been resolved. It's the people who have gone on for 3 years and were still unqualified is who you would be looking at specifically.
Okay. Board Member Linda Hansen.
So just to clarify, these are not people who have been paraprofessionals or have been in, as at least according to the information that's in there, they have not ever taught or been at a school at all before. And so they don't have any experience at all. And so there's a lot in there that I think are fine. But it just concerns me that there's people without any experience at all. And so I have rural schools as well, and I know that there's difficulty in sometimes finding teachers, so I'm very sympathetic to that. But I think that maybe this crosses the line a little bit, especially since I just pulled the ones who said that they were not in programs or maybe they were going to think about getting into a program. So it didn't say they were going to be in any kind of ARL, APT, university program, that there wasn't anything like that they were considering.
Okay. Board Member Gravitt?
I think that's what's difficult for me, because I understand that we need teachers, but like Board Member Hanson, I think what you're saying is at what risk? Like, these are teachers who have never had any experience, and I really think when a parent sends a child to a classroom, they believe if it's a licensed educator, it's somebody with experience. And I've been in the classroom, and I know we get teachers who have no experience, and there are a bunch of kids who I think are put at risk. So I do think this is a bigger issue we need to talk about, but it feels like if we're going to say we approve, we're taking a big risk to me.
Board Member Lear?
And I'm torn between just saying, supporting Brittany's motion, it wasn't exactly a motion, but thought that this is a more important discussion item, and between saying that the upcoming situation sounds worse, because we will still have probably these same individuals or their clones in the LEAs, and we won't know about it for 3 years. So, and unless there's some progressive, extensive auditing review process planned, which I doubt there is, because we don't have the personnel. So if this is an out of sight, out of mind thing, where the list is not going to be before us for 3 years, but it's still going on, then I think we need to acknowledge that concern and either say this is just an employment issue for LEAs and let it go, or we need to have discussion and say, do we need to rethink that process that doesn't give us this kind of information for a 3-year period? So I support the idea that we talk about it as soon as possible as a board.
Board Member Ellis?
I have a technical question. We try not to talk about individual people during board meeting, and so I'm just wondering if it's appropriate, or if this list could ever be amended, if someone could move to take this to executive session where we pull off the names that Linda's not concerned about and let those ones get passed through, if there's a way to do that, or if it's an all or nothing type of scenario.
Well, there's a way that this can come back, and can come back with numbers and stuff attached to address this. There is a way.
Right, but does it have to be next month, or can we amend the list throughout the day?
Travis?
So I think you would have the authority, similar to what you've done with other consent calendar items, and that is to strike specific items from within it. Just like when you're approving contracts, you strike a specific contract. You could do that, so then you would be only voting on the ones you want to move through. And then the others, you could make a motion to request that staff go get more information from the LEAs, those kind of things. We could certainly do that.
Vice Chair Brittany Cummins?
I'd like to move that we approve item 4.4 on the consent calendar, the letters of authorization, or temporary letters of authorization.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion to the motion. Board Member Lear?
I apologize for speaking again, but in response to Elisa's idea, I am not comfortable just looking at names, making decisions, or pulling names, or a little bit of information without much more discussion and investigation. I think that's just the definition of arbitrary, and I would not support that, so I support the motion. Thank you.
Okay. Board Member Hanson?
And I would amend the motion that we pull, and I have numbers here, not names. So that we pull 716-706, 721-021. Am I too fast?
Hang on. Hang on one sec.
Okay.
Is 706 one number?
716,
There's 6
706. There's six digits.
Where do you see numbers?
Which document? Should be in the details.
They have numbers?
They have numbers. It's in the detail.
So can you just say the whole title of your?
Not right now, because they have to have a bachelor's degree. They have to pass.
It's the detail one.
Specific right now.
And then keep scrolling down, If you keep scrolling down, then there's more detail.
Yep. She got it.
See? So there's not just names, there's detail there. You see that?
So the person ID number.
Yeah.
Okay, so one more time on your motion, your amended
And
motion.
see, I'm going to ask for, my motion would be to ask staff to bring back more information on the following individuals.
Hang on one sec. Well, there's a motion, you have a motion to amend what? We have a motion to approve, so.
To approve with pulling off these. So I want to approve with the exception of these that we are pulling off.
Okay,
Well, we're just on the non-privacy issue, just.
These numbers are there.
yeah,
So I just want to.
Oh, she's not on the mic.
you are now.
Okay, I just want to clarify that the number that's being used, is it a identifying number? Is it their personal cactus number? So we shouldn't be using that number if that's the.
Is that their cactus number?
Okay, so let's not use the number or their name. Thank you.
Then we'd have to go into executive session because I have no way to identify them if we're not identifying them by their number or their name. How do you want me to do that?
Okay, well, we have a motion, we have a second. So you're,
I'm making an amendment that we pull 5 of these and ask for more information on them.
okay, well, but we can't say in this meeting, right, presently what those 5 are, so we can't really add or take away from our motion as an amendment.
Do you want me to give you a page number? Would that help, Travis? If I could just give you a page number?
Until those items.
Okay, what you can do is you can
It's
make a
on
motion.
the public page already.
Yeah, you can make a motion to postpone, and then we can put those,
No, just postpone to a time certain when they can be numbered.
when they can be numbered.
Okay, so I would make that motion that we postpone until.
Amendment to the motion.
An amendment to the motion. No, it's.
Oh, no,
it's
this is a motion to
It's a
postpone.
motion.
You're right.
To postpone until we can identify the ones that need to be, that I would like to remove. And I don't think it will hurt anything because it's not, they're still going to be able to teach. It will just give us more information on those that we have concerns on.
All right, so we have a motion to postpone, which actually trumps this particular motion to postpone until we can get these numbers identified, and then it would come back. Basically what
Yes.
we're doing. Do we have a second to that? Second, Board Member Bolter, discussion to having it postponed to come back. Okay, I have three lights on to having it come back. Is that correct? Okay. 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 Board Member Scott Hansen, this is a motion, we're talking to the motion to postpone.
Yeah, Chairman, I would like to move that we move to executive session on an emergency basis to address this issue.
That's up to these guys.
You have to take care of the motion to postpone.
Yeah, we have to deal with this one first. Then we can go into, so we need to finish this one first to postpone, and then how we deal with that can be another motion.
Okay.
Okay. Board Member Jenny Earl, this is.
So I just trying to clarify, so there's 5 individuals that you've looked at that we want more information about and carry on dialogue about in order to make a decision. Is that right? And that's the reason for that? Chair?
And that they are numbered, that they, so as we.
Oh, okay. Is that? Okay, so that's the reason for
Okay. Vice Chair Brittany Cummins.
So the intent of this postponement isn't to review this today, but to review this at a future board meeting? Today? So the
That's right.
intent is to, okay, thank you.
Which could mean, if this passes, allow time to happen, this to happen, and then at A lot of times at lunchtime, we go into an executive session where that might be appropriate. So, okay, this is your guys' time, and there's a lot of people who want to talk here. Board Member Hanson. No. Board Member Lisa Cummins.
Thank you, Chair. Is this setting precedent?
No, it's your meeting. You're wanting to.
My only concern is it's not our
postpone.
job to hire, that it's the LEA's jobs to hire, and they vet, they look at the proposed candidates, and it's their job. We just issue the license, and so I wonder if we're stepping on toes in their authority here. So I'm just concerned about that.
It wouldn't set a precedence, but it could become if we choose to make it. So, Board Member Lear, did you have a?
I did come back to it. If we're going to come back to this today, I may have 10 or 20 or 50 more people that I want to identify and talk about and get information about. So I don't see any point in having a meeting later today about individual, because if we understand that those are the rules, then all of us might have 5 or 10 people we want to discuss in this closed session, which seems very unproductive, and it seems, again, the definition of arbitrary. And I
Let
don't
me remind everyone
like that.
this is to postpone. If that fails, then we go back to the original motion.
But the postponement would be for that purpose, right?
Correct. That is correct. Okay, I don't see any other comments, so the motion to postpone and get numbered and come back is on the table. Here, all in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? No. Okay, it takes 8 on a postpone with the ayes. Raise your hand. We have Board Member Scott Hansen, Board Member Gravitt, Board Member Linda Hansen, Board Member Cindy Davis, Board Member Laura Belknap, Board Member Janet Cannon, Board Member Ellis is 7. I'm the deciding vote, and I'm not in favor of having it postponed. So the motion fails. Okay. We have a motion on the table, which is to approve, and it's been seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? No. Will the ayes raise your hand and be recognized? We have Board Member Lear, Board Member Lisa Cummins, Board Member Janet Cannon, Board Member Jenny Earl, Board Member Michelle Bolter, Board Member Elisa Ellis, Vice Chair Brittany Cummins. There's her hand. Board Member Cindy Davis is 8, and I'm 9. Okay, motion passes. So we have discussion. Okay, next, thank you, Travis.